And I'll say again that what we're going to emphasize today and expand upon is the end time eschatological last days uh, portion of the prophetic framework, specifically that which has been laid out in the Bible. So, beginning with James 5, we want to focus, family, on the aspect of fire as it relates to the last days, the end time prophecies, eschatological prophecies. James 5, 1 through 7. Now go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, your garments are moth eaten, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Right there, first reference to fire. Ye have heaped up treasure together for the last days. So Nasik had pointed out, and very accurately and correctly, that this whole thing about national security and the national interest has nothing to do with the lives of men and women,
Nothing at all.
nothing to do with the preservation of life. It has to do with keeping these ill-gotten goods, holding on to our inheritance. All
Yeah.
right. Verse 4 is going to say this in no uncertain terms. Behold, the hire of the laborers. We'll stop right there. Not the slaves,
Mm-hmm.
The higher
Mm-hmm.
the
up.
hire of
Mm-hmm.
the laborers. That word hire means
Yeah.
Right.
reward or compensation
Yeah.
that is due to the laborers who have
Right.
reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, family, once we focus our attention on the proper geographical location, we uncover our inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
know where it is, who has it,
Right.
How they got
how they
it?
got it. We know
Right.
all the details.
Right.
But the trick has been, the deception has been to distract our attention away from the west to the east.
Right. That
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
There you go.
So it says that the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped and entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Now, Miss Ura had mentioned uh, yesterday about the gathering of these ancestors that had made transition. And she had intimated that their death, through oppression, had sent them to a place where they wait retribution. And I told her how accurate that was. This was toward the end of or maybe at the end of the session yesterday. If you listen to the recording,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps I recorded that. I don't know if I did or not, but those who are on the call remember that.
Okay.
And this word sabeo, which is eerily related to the word Sabbath,
Mm-hmm.
sabeo is the host, what is referred to as the host of heaven. So this has very much merit. What she had implied has a great deal of merit, that this host of heaven is made up of these spirits, all right, that have departed due to oppression. See, our ancestors, they never forget and they never forgive. That forgive and
Mm-hmm.
forget and turn the other cheek, that's for Christians.
That
Mm-hmm.
came there.
Mm-hmm.
That's for servants. That's for, you know,
Slaves.
uh, that's for somebody else, slaves, not for warriors.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to incorporate this attitude and this reality into our consciousness so that we can fully comprehend this and understand perfectly what is coming. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth. That's at our expense.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have been wanton. Now, this word wanton, family, is related to the word hubris. Hubris. This is a common theme in allegory, especially as it relates to the monomyth of, Osiris, Isis, and Heru, Horus. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. Be
Wow.
patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it until he receive the early and latter rain. This early and latter rain is
Mm-hmm.
connected, family, to the return of an individual. This is the second coming. This is the Iman Mahdi, the second Buddha. But
Mm-hmm.
all of that is related to what we've been talking about recently relative to the real time historic figure Ankh Afnakansu.
Mm-hmm.
So, this whole idea, the whole narrative, I see, of the second coming of a child
Yeah. Uh-huh.
or of a contemporary manifestation
Right.
of something that came before is part of every template of the end times. The father was wronged. The contemporary generation that would live at the end times is the avenging agent,
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
is the vindicating figure.
Right.
Moving on to Zechariah 14. And thus shall be the plague Zechariah 14:12-14. And thus shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Again, all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. The scriptures describe Yahweh as a consuming fire.
Right.
All right.
Right.
One of the very first covenants was after the flood, where the promise was, yeah, it was water this time, but fire
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them. They shall lay hold everyone on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. But here it is, because we always want to just put this all on another avenging agent, whether
Right.
it be a god or an avenging
Right.
angel that is coming,
Mm-hmm.
death angel,
Mm-hmm.
somebody. But verse 14 said, and Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem. We're not talking about picking up automatic weapons
Right. Say that.
and engaging in physical warfare. That's a fight that we can't lose. We know that. That we can't win, rather. We know that. We are not advocating that. But we are advocating developing an attitude. Now, see, the proper attitude that will connect you to the source, the
Mm-hmm.
freeing and liberating source that has been
Mm-hmm.
made available to us so that we
Mm-hmm.
can do what? Spiritually go to war
Mm-hmm.
for our freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want nobody to fight for me. Never have.
Mm-hmm.
That's worse
Now,
than losing to me.
Mm-hmm.
when we look at this word Jerusalem, Jerusalem means inheritance of perfection, and
Yes, sir.
perfection is holiness. So we're talking about the war. There will be waged, will be a war of wholeness against the war of division and what? Rationalism. This is what's taking place now with this energetic feminine energy being at the forefront.
That's
Come
correct.
on, I see. Absolutely.
This
Yes.
is what's happening right now. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
the war initially has to be internal.
Yes.
yes,
That's where it
absolutely.
starts. That's where it starts.
I woke up with the thought that was reverberating in my mind. I was contemplating this all last night. There is very little, I'm talking about it's minuscule, that is worth anything that we've gotten from this simulated reality.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of it is useless in terms
Mm-hmm.
of, I see, this
Yeah,
mental this mental aspect that we've
Mm-hmm.
developed. This notion of piety
yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
this idea, and I can't remember, I've listened to so many videos, but one of the videos talked about it, where this idea of turning the other cheek, and that the more spiritual you are, the less angry you should be. This attitude of passivity,
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
this soft attitude, we feel that because we are rising in consciousness, we shouldn't get angry about things. There is such a thing, family, as righteous anger and indignation.
Okay.
The Bible says, and we're going to go to that passage a little later on, that God is angry with the wicked every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, this battle, the preparation for this battle is internal first before it can be
Mm-hmm.
external. Because you won't even recognize primarily where the real enemy is.
Right.
Right.
Come on. Come
And
on,
we've
Eitai.
been emphasizing that. They done downloaded the enemy in all of us
Yes.
through this programming. And now, see, the more I understand this aspect of Reconstruction, this period, this
Yeah.
transition from the agrarian society to the industrial society,
Mm-hmm.
man, this was diabolical.
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Yes.
With this compulsory education, all of a
Yeah.
sudden, for 400 years, we would get hung for, reading and being
Mm-hmm.
literate,
Mm-hmm.
let alone teaching others.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it's mandatory.
All of a sudden it's mandatory. Yeah, right.
Right. Right.
Right.
that you a criminal, that you truant. When you do not attend school, something fishy is going on. But
I'm fishing.
when you have the proper understanding of that, and we both Nasik and myself have been focusing in on that this thing was diabolical, and that's where
Mm-hmm.
they downloaded the enemy in us.
Yes.
So before we talk about fighting anybody else, we got to fight
Right.
that enemy within.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
it downloaded reality into us.
That's right.
Oh boy. Wow.
That 14th verse we're going to emphasize again. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem,
Hmm.
and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together. Now, see, this is another thing mentally that we have to overcome, because we've been taught that the more conscious you are, the more spiritual you are, that that means taking a vow of poverty,
Right.
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and this is
Please.
deception. This is deception.
Yes.
And, we know that, we don't want to do this mix of, religion and economics, like these
Mm-hmm.
prosperity preachers, Creflo Dollar and
Mm-hmm.
TD
Mm-hmm.
Jakes and all these, crooked individuals. We're not taking that approach, but
Absolutely.
because now see what they're doing is taking wealth from their own community. They
That's what
building
they do.
Yes.
wealth from the
Right.
Yes.
individuals that what deserve an inheritance,
Yes.
Right.
that
You're
have
right.
been denied an inheritance. No, what we understand, we know exactly where our inheritance is. We know where they
Mm-hmm.
deposited this stuff and
Mm-hmm.
where it's gathered together. We know exactly. So it ain't about exploiting, our fellow brothers and sisters. No, it's about getting our stuff back from the enemy that has taken this by fraud and held on to it, in a very violent way, and will continue to do that. So if we think, that we can go unarmed and get our stuff back, you got to be the biggest square in the world.
Right.
Somebody that strong armed you for your stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and you think you're going to go and ask for it back, you better grab a bigger stick and be ready to use it.
Yes.
So we know, again, that our weapons are not carnal like that. They're spiritual. They're spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to first pull down these strongholds within us that our enemies
Mm-hmm.
have erected within us. Then we're going to pull down them strongholds, and we are in the process of doing it, pulling down the
Mm-hmm.
strongholds that hold back our inheritance.
Yes.
As we are coming into the knowledge of these things and understanding that this stuff belongs to us, we are
Mm-hmm.
focusing our attention in the proper manner and upon the proper things. And those strongholds, family, they're losing their inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing,
Eitai, the testimony,
they're losing their
Eitai,
integrity, rather.
the testimony is they losing their integrity is us on this line.
Absolutely.
Because the
Mm-hmm.
integrity starts within the thought process of the former slave.
Absolutely.
Was he out
Absolutely.
of that mindset or that way of thinking, then the integrity that was vital and to him, it loses its integrity, it loses its capability, it
That's
loses its
correct.
strength. We
Yes.
see it. We see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that makes the next song,
Right. And no one can come and tell us any different.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No one can tell us any different and distract us at this point. We wide awake.
Absolutely not.
Our
Yes.
vision is not blurry. We know you have our
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and you're
Right.
gonna give it back. As simple as that.
Right. We coming to get it.
We coming to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. Now, this apparel, I laugh every time I see it because that's cotton. That's a direct reference to cotton. Our ancestors say you're gonna give it all back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna give it all back.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the cotton field.
That's right. So we are, we're clear on our direction. And what we're going to
Yes.
do today is tie this thing further within the prophetic framework, within the prophetic sequence that the scriptures lay out. Just want to again feature these great sisters here because, again, the sisters are always going to be central
Mm-hmm.
to
Yes, yeah.
the freedom struggle, to anything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And the two artists that created this, Jeanette Ellers and LaVon Bell, and the sisters that are on the line, you should bless these sisters. Bless these sisters. Draw them into this energetic vortex because they've allowed our great beloved ancestors to use their talents to erect a sign for us in the last days, an ensign. Now we seeing our signs.
Right.
Yeah.
Can.
Now we're seeing it.
Eitai.
Seeing
Absolutely.
our
Yes.
signs. Not just not just in one place or the other. We saw our signs in the Black Panther epic. And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Just about everybody on this planet saw our
Mm-hmm.
signs
Yes. Yes.
and saw a version or elements of our rise in these last days. not unimportant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would encourage the sisters, and the brothers, but primarily the sisters. Look, bless these sisters,
Mm-hmm.
bless these daughters, because they've done a great thing for us.
They sure have.
They've done a great
Yes.
thing for us. Jeanette Ellers and Lavon Bell. So these sisters, conscious, and it says of them, the Danish artist Jeanette Ellers, who teamed up with Miss Bell to create Queen Mary, the Queen Mary Monument, said 98% of the statues in Denmark are representing white males.
Wow.
That's all I need to know.
Wow.
Mm.
These individuals are evil.
But you
Mm-hmm.
let you know how this energy is moving now.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know,
Absolutely.
just another point there. Denmark was a part of the European economic community.
Absolutely,
Yes.
brother.
Right.
Yes.
You see? So all of this is all connected, you know.
That's right.
These 10 toes.
Hey, we coming there too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now see, when they be talking about them Swiss accounts that they hide
Yeah.
money in, hey, that's coming too.
That's
Yes.
coming. There you
We getting
go.
all of it.
That we getting all of it. We know where it
I'm
is.
telling you. Yeah, absolutely.
The torch and cane bill held in the statue's hands symbolize the resistance strategies by those who were colonized. And remember that term colonizers,
Uh-huh. Come on.
came
Yes.
into the modern day lexicon based on, one line of a character in the Black Panther movie.
Mm-hmm.
And we see what's going on now in South Africa relative to the
Mm-hmm.
colonizers.
Yes.
But family, see, they want to keep us focused that's the juke move, to keep us focused on the East and what's happening on the
Right.
continent of Africa. But one of the biggest land
Right.
grabs in history was in North America. We're not ignoring that either.
Yes. Yes. We can't.
Y'all don't want us to focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's exactly what we're going to do and what we're doing. The artist said in a statement, her seated pose recalls the iconic 1967 photograph of Huey P. Newton, father of the Black Panther Party. And we're going
Wow.
to connect this all up. So
Wow.
we introduced at this point this concept of nemesis, the Greek goddess of
Mm-hmm.
retributive uh, justice. And this, again, family, we got to quit this old soft attitude that
Mm-hmm.
has been programmed into us, like, oh, forgive and forget. Like what these crackers in the U.S. is talking about. Oh, y'all got to get over slavery. Nah, I'll get over it when you give me my stuff back.
Right.
So this idea of retributive justice, that was family directly connected to the divine feminine. Remember the statement, hell hath no fury,
Mm-hmm.
like a woman scorned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
Mm-hmm.
divine feminine has two aspects to it. One is the more benign aspect of the mother, the loving mother, the dedicated sister, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the nurturing, supportive wife, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The the uh, the loyal daughter, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it has a fierce aspect to it as well.
Woo.
Eitai, I just want to pitch right here to a Cote d'Ivoire. Devorah, I want you to remember what you just heard about the rose and the sword. So when we talk tonight about the rose and the sword, you'll better understand what we are called to do in
That's
your
right.
role.
Mhm. Yes. Yes. Can't I say?
Rosicrucian, the rosy sword. Yes, yes. Now see, yeah, we seeing this like family, like we supposed to be seeing this.
Yes, indeed.
Also, this idea of nemesis came into the popular culture, and it was described as an inescapable agent of someone's or something's downfall. Now, remember that because the divine feminine aided these bandits
Mm-hmm.
in their rise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now see this why we focus. The ancestors had you focus right away to the Queen
Right,
of England,
right.
to the Queen of England. They put the finger on her,
Put the finger on her.
riding around in a solid gold chariot, 370 billion. Now y'all
Wow.
giving that up too. 370 billion. Do y'all
Right.
realize what that could do
Yes.
to the sons and daughters of indentured servitude, not just in
Mm-hmm.
England, but in
Mm-hmm.
America?
Mm-hmm.
Just that one thing alone could change
Mm-hmm.
individuals' lives.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, a long-standing rival and arch enemy. And certainly the I'm going to show you all something. The divine feminine has been feared throughout history. Listen to this. This is an article from Our Lady of Saleh, September 19th, 1846. It was written and it was published by someone called Melanie in 1879. Very important dates. Very important dates. And now, see, you can automatically see from our studies that the majority of the work was done between, uh, that has direct correlation to our current position, our current predicament, rather, was
Yeah,
done between the late 1600s and the early to mid 1800s.
absolutely, Eitai.
That 1700 to 1800, that was a critical century there.
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
This publication said that the Antichrist will be born of a Hebrew nun. The
Mm.
Antichrist will be born of a Hebrew nun. They say a false virgin who will communicate with the old serpent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 1846.
That was 15 years before the Emancipation Proclamation was ratified in 18. Well, I'm sorry, was presented in 1864. Now, they
Right.
even go to great length to give you the date. In the year 1864, Lucifer, together with a large number of demons, will be unloosed from hell. Now, who are they talking about?
Yeah, right, right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
They will
Wow.
put an end to faith. Look, They will put an end to faith little by little. Well, if we're not doing this on the phone call,
Wow.
even those dedicated to God. Well, we ain't trying to dedicate nobody to God or not called to God.
Mhm.
They will blind them in such a way that unless they are blessed with a special grace, that's that programming. Unless that
Mhm.
programming is well set in, these people will take on the spirit of these angels of hell. That's what they think of y'all, family. Several
Wow.
Angel.
religious institutions will lose all faith and will lose many souls because they got all them souls captured within the box, within the net. And it's our job to free them. See, they think that work, they think it's evil. And a lot of us are brainwashed when we hear certain things
Mhm.
in a certain way.
Mhm.
We are still programmed to believe, hey, that's evil. They talk about it, we didn't have people get off the call because we talk about the answer.
Right.
I think they talking about, ooh, they talking to the dead.
Yeah.
Stuck on that spookism.
Eitai.
Yes.
Wow.
That the last well the sentence that says the spirit of those angels of hell
Right.
talking about us
That's right.
Yeah.
talking
Uh-huh.
talking about talking about the angels of darkness.
That's right.
Now
Yeah.
now now again, what is darkness? Melanin,
That's
carbon,
right.
right?
Dude.
Look
Oh, that's
look
clear.
at 1846 to 1879.
Come on,
Is
brother.
that's 33 years. 3 plus 3 is 6.
6.
What is 6? Carbon.
That's right. And this now see, Malkiel is on it because now you go the other direction, Malkiel.
Mm-hmm.
1869 is 15
Mm-hmm.
years after
Okay.
1864. One in
Mm-hmm.
five, watch.
Yes.
One in
Come
five
on.
equals 6,
Mm-hmm.
and 15 is
Mm-hmm.
referring to the number 15 tarot card, which is the devil.
Numbers do not lie, shows. I'm telling
Numbers
you.
don't lie.
Wow.
Yes, I'm loving it. I am loving
See,
this.
I see, but you look at
Yeah.
that when you look at that video that you sent out by Merkaba, where they're decoding not only the scriptures, but they're decoding Shakespeare.
Right, right, right.
Man, you got to give them credit. They were experts in
I'm telling
this number game.
Mm-hmm.
you.
They
Mm-hmm.
are experts in this number game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have learned it very well.
Learned
Yes.
it well. They learned it well. I mean, learned it well.
But this is our science. This
Yeah.
is our science.
Last
We
time.
are the ones that are going to connect that science back to our source. We are the
Yes.
Yeah.
only ones that can do that.
Yes.
If they could do it, ain't no way we would be on this phone call.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Eitai.
No way. No way.
They use those numbers to manipulate us in positions so that we're programmed to do what? Be self-governing,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to get it out. No, I'm not going to touch that. Well, why? I was taught that, hey, that's evil.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, they got you playing the role of the Antichrist. And a matter of fact, they called your mother the Antichrist.
Right.
Yes.
Ain't no way I'm gonna let that stand. I'm gonna be
Not talking about my
exactly what
mother.
they say I'm going to be their worst nightmare.
Absolutely, Eitai.
So the 13th Amendment, so they said in 1864, in the year 1864, Lucifer, together with a large number of demons, will be unloosed from hell. The 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States, passed
Uh-huh.
the sentence on April 8th, 1864. You got to know that that's who they was talking about.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now see, and we've already discovered that that the real emancipation was supposed to take place almost a century, a little less than a century before that.
Right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Isn't that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Right.
So they've been delaying this, family. They've been delaying this. And
Mm-hmm.
our ancestors are pretty upset about this. They don't forgive and they will not forget. So they passed this. It passed the Senate April 8th, 1864, in the House on January 34th, 1865. Now they waited to the last minute of
Yeah, the very last.
1865. And on February 1st, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln approved the joint resolution of Congress submitting the proposed amendment on the state legislatures. And this aspect of the state legislators is a very important concept. Slavery was all about states' rights. This is why the Civil War was fought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. States' rights. Right.
And
Right.
when you understand, family, the United Kingdom as it
Mm-hmm.
relates to the United States,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this is a very powerful matrix
Yes.
Yes, it is.
that
Yes.
they set up. But again, it's all based on our science.
Even though they did that, but our science tell us that they would, you know, they would not cling one to, even though they would be brought together in it, but they would not cleave one to another. So we find that's problematic, and we're seeing how this controversy has been going on because they set up, quote unquote, the dualistic system of what they call Democrat and Republican. You
That's
know,
absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, I
Can I
know
say?
that you're going to focus on Daniel, the 12th chapter, and
yeah, yes,
those verses where it talks about that stone that is cut
yeah,
without hand.
Yeah. Yes.
yeah,
And we're going to relate that right back to the sisterhood.
yeah,
We're going to relate that right back to the sisterhood.
yeah. This is this is something.
So, moving forward, family, moving forward, we'll switch over to this document. Sisters, make sure you all bless these sisters here. Brothers, you as well. Very, very powerful uh, daughters in these times. So we're going to get into a comparison right now of the prophetic text, two in particular, in the scriptures, and the prophetic text as they relate to Ankh Khonsu. One of the things that we've been emphasizing for quite some time is that all of this is going to this great story, this great adventure, this great monomyth of history is going to culminate in the West.
Yeah.
And we looked at the statue of the queens erected there a few weeks ago in Denmark, and how that related to the ancient divine feminine. We're going to look at this term amenti as it relates to the end time prophecies and the, excuse me, about to sneeze. Pardon me, family. We're going to begin to connect these prophetic texts as it relates to Ankh Afnakansu. And this age, we talked about these three ages yesterday. The age of Isis being the first age, which represented the preeminence, the preeminent excellence of the divine feminine. The age of Horus, the age of Osiris, being the age in which death reigned, to the extent that even gods die in the mythology. And, of course, we related that to, we related the Osirian myth of Osiris, Isis, and Heru, and identified that as the template or the blueprint for the Jesus, Mary, and God, God the Father Trinity.
They call it Trinity. Yeah.
Right. In the Christian and Hebraic even doctrine.
Right.
The third being the age of Horus, which is the ion of the crowned and conquering child of the gods. The crowned and conquering child of the gods. And this is the current age that we are in, which, and they rather deceptively left out the fourth age, which is the age of Mayat. The age of Mayat. And we're going to talk about that because they're trying to teach us about the divine feminine here, but they leave out the ion of Mayat, but we're going to include it because it's very important.
Yeah, would you say the reason that they wants to leave out this fourth one, because that's a transition for us out of the third dimension on through the fourth and into the fifth. So they leave out the fourth as if it doesn't exist and keep us
come on.
In the death cycle of war.
That's perfect, Nasi. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, and we'll see this. We'll see this. They slick want us to stay on some masculine stuff and continue to leave out the most fundamental and powerful element. But like we started a class, no, we ain't gonna do that. We're not gonna fall for that trick. We are always going to present the divine feminine, first and foremost. Concerning the ion of Horus, this is the current ion that we inhabit. Crowley wrote, "The crowned and conquering child who dieth not, nor is reborn, but goeth radiant ever upon his way." Powerful statement. Even so goeth the sun, So he's talking about the course of the sun now. Coded
Yeah.
language, the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. Watch.
Mm.
For it is now known that night is but the shadow of the earth. So death is but the shadow of the body. That veileth his light, or that hideth his light from its bearer. Very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Very important concept there. It goes on to say in the book of Thoth, homage to thee, O governor of those who are in Amenti. So again, we made the connection. Ankh Khonsu, his whole being, his whole reason for being was to stand over that knowledge, Nasi,
Yeah.
that would free us in the West.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So going back to the film, he cast a spell and did a ritual that guaranteed that he would not be caught in the transition. He was so determined, family, to meet us in the West that he did this. Listen.
Chapter 91 of the Book of the Dead, or Book of Going Forth by Day. The term Book of the Dead, or Totenbuch in German, was likely coined by the Egyptologist Karl Richard Lepsius. Lepsius is also credited with devising the chapter ordering system by which the spells of Egyptian books of the dead are numbered and identified.
He called them spells.
Yeah, I hear.
Our ancestors were very powerful magicians.
Mm-hmm.
In the story of the Exodus, Moses was represented as a very powerful magician. What signs
Right. Right.
shall I show? He understood he couldn't come. He ain't had no standing army. It's no way
Right.
that from a physical standpoint, not see from a standpoint of force, could he go and deal with the Pharaoh with an
Couldn't deal
Right.
with.
initiative? So he knew, like we know, that he had to wage spiritual warfare.
That's
Mm-hmm.
right.
But understand, the Pharaoh's magicians could do the same thing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that later because that has to do with this internal warfare. This shift
Mm-hmm.
from the old to the new. The old is always going to be resistant,
Mm-hmm.
Always.
but it cannot be an aspect of mind that is going to allow you to overcome the mind. That just don't make
Right.
no sense. You're going to have to make a shift from left brain to right brain
Mm-hmm.
and use
Mm-hmm.
the greater law against the lesser law.
Mm-hmm.
That's the heart of magic.
Okay.
This system was devised circa 1842. In this case, one is
The system,
deceased soul be imprisoned.
the interpretive system family came online just prior to 1842. We're going to keep emphasizing these dates because it's the ancestors that's
Mm-hmm.
involved in this.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
go back to that scripture in Revelations. God has put it in their mind to do what? Accomplish his will.
17th chapter Revelation.
Put it in their hearts to accomplish his will.
In the Duat, that is, the transitionary realm.
I'm going to go back just a little bit.
Circa 1842. In this case, Chapter 91 is a spell for not letting the deceased soul be imprisoned in the Duat.
he was casting a spell so that his soul would not be trapped in the transitionary period.
Mm-hmm.
And so that he can make it here through time, through ions of time, to meet with us right now.
Wow.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, it is.
That is the transitionary realm. Beginning in the upper right-hand corner, reading right to left, the hieroglyphic text begins, Jed medu en ausir ham nutjar mantu nept waast un ahui nut petem apetsut alchef en Khonsu ma'a charu. In English, words spoken by Ausir, the deceased, priest of Manchu, lord of Waast, Thebes, opener of the doors of the sky in Karnak.
Opener of the doors of the skies in Karnak. He look, that's his accomplishment. He did that during his lifetime. And we're going to find out once we decode this is actually where we're trying to get, to move from the solar to the cosmic realm, into the cosmic realm.
Ankh and Khonsu, true of voice. Here we see this line closed with ma'a charu, true of voice, written out using both the plinth and the boat oar characters. Continuing from the next line down,
Listen.
in the upper right-hand corner, reading right to left, the hieroglyphic text begins, Ka dua tuaf ba'u ba'a shafit dedu nurefen nucharu hau har nestef ur. O High One, may he be praised, Great One of power, Soul of great majesty, who brings fear of himself to the Nucharu, shining upon his great seat. Here we continue where indicated on the third line down. Ar wa'wat en ba'i en achi en shut I iu aparkui webeni im par. Make ways for my ba, soul, for my ach, spirit, for my
Make way for my soul and my spirit. Listen.
shoot, shadow, as I am equipped.
And my shadow. That is his entire being that he is sending back.
Mm-hmm.
So that I may shine as an equipped one. Continuing where indicated on the fourth line down, Arni Wat Arbet Etet Ra Atum Chepari Hotat Im. Make way for me the place which Ra, Atum, Chepari, and Hotat are in. These four deities, Ra, Atum, Chepari, and Hotat, may be more familiar to people by the Hellenized versions of their names, Ra, Atum, Yupra, and Hathor. Likewise, some may recognize their inclusion as such in Liber El Val Legis and their adaptation therefrom in Liber Reish El Helios. Continuing where indicated, completing the text on the front of this stela, we read, Ausir ham nutcher manchu nept waast Ankh en Khonsu ma'a charu sa minu sa en mut ar en achit en amen ra nept per ka neshit. Ausir, the deceased, priest of Manchu, lord of Waast, Thebes, Ankh en Khonsu, son of a man with the same titles, Ba'sa en Mut, given birth to by a musician of Amen Ra, the mistress of the house, Ta Nashit. The closing of this passage once again identifies Ankh en Khonsu as a priest of Manchu in the area that is modern-day Luxor. It goes on to identify his father, Ba'sa en Mut, whose name may be interpreted to mean supporter or protective of Mut, female figure of the triad of Huast, as having held that office before him. It also identifies his mother, Nashit, whose name may be interpreted to mean hairdresser of the land, as having the office of sister.
She was a hairdresser. His mother was. Now we know these is our people, man. These are our people. So it's just phenomenal that. And another part of the prayer was that he was so attached to his mother that he says, "Don't let my attachment to my mother, my love for my mother, keep me in this place. Let me make full transition to go before those that are the heirs of salvation, that are going to be the heirs of salvation, that are going to be Heru, the heroes and the heroine in the West, So they call him the governor of those who are in Amenti, the West, who maketh mortals to be what? Born again. Is that the experience we're going through?
Yeah.
So we've had the aid of an ancestor. And we've gotten to the point, family, that he's introduced himself to us. Y'all got to see how powerful that is. How much an honor that is.
Yes.
This has never happened like this. The white boys who were the custodians of this, they wrote it down, but they haven't gotten this. They were talking about the introduction of a people who had not come yet. That is us. Or we couldn't be talking about it. Who renewest thy youth. Thou dwellest, listen to this, thou dwellest in thy season. Thou beautiful one, thy son of Horus, Heru, hath avenged thee. So that is us. He who by progress has grown from the darkness. That is, family, the root or the branch springing up from the roots of Yeshai, who have grown from darkness, lifted himself from the night into the light.
Eitai, we got to change that word to light. We got to change that word to contemporary. Right now, we're going to say awareness because it ain't no light.
That's right. we got that.
Yeah.
Free is he made of the halls of Amenti. So he prayed to be free. Now it's stated that he has freed himself. Free of the flower, listen, of the flower of light and life. He's free of that. And he can show us how to be free of it. So again, the halls of Amenti will show you. And we've been saying now, see, we haven't been using that terminology, of course, but we were saying we can't get stuck in the transformational phase.
Yeah, you go. Right.
Eitai.
Yes.
Right.
In this simulated reality, would purgatory be equivalent to the transition period?
All right, smart guy. I'm not gonna let you, I told you before, Malkiel.
Yeah.
Keep jumping ahead. See, we know this, man. Malkia, we know
Yeah,
this, brother.
Yes.
yeah, we
Yes.
know it.
King.
That's not no question. That's a statement. You know this.
Yes.
But
Okay.
we're gonna make the connection. We're gonna make the connection. So we came from wholeness. That is the reality. Do y'all see this?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Wholeness is the reality. Then we transformed or emanated into the illusory physical
Mm-hmm.
environs or material world. And it was like we not really here. We are always in the reality.
yeah,
Right.
But it's like the source of light is being what? Reflected through film.
Mm-hmm.
And so the film is not real. The only thing real is the light.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
The image of light is not real, but we've been programmed, I'm talking about thoroughly, to think that the illusion is what is real.
Mm-hmm.
It is just an image. It is just a likeness, family. It is not the real thing. I reside in wholeness, in
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
singularity.
Mm-hmm.
And this halls of Amenti is the transitional period into and back from the simulated reality. Do y'all see that?
yeah,
Yeah.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
So we're making this transition backwards. We've connected through what? The DNA.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That is our ancestors.
yeah,
And so they are going to aid us. Now, this is where these halls of Amenti, this is where uh, we're meeting Ankh Khonsu. Ankh Khonsu. To what?
Mm-hmm.
Guide us back through this transitional period.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Family, if he had not made it, we would not be talking about it.
Talking about. Yes. Yes.
And if we had not made it to this period, we would
Yes.
not be talking about it.
Yes.
But
Wow.
our teacher has appeared to us.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
As above, so below. The halls of Amenti exist between the 3D world, Nasik, you said it, and the soul world.
mm-hmm.
Between what? The frequency domain and the space-time domain. This is where
Yeah,
our ancestor, our great ancestor said, I'll meet you there.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
Between 3D and the highest dimensions. This is too perfect, family. I mean,
Yes.
if
Yes.
we just if we can't see that, that just means we deliberately ignoring it for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
On Earth, man is in bondage. Now here you go, Malkiel is in bondage,
Mm-hmm.
bound by space, time, and the Earth plane.
Mm-hmm.
Duat, pronounced Duat, also Tuat, Tuat, a Kurt, a Menthes, and a Menti. So when it's talking about the Duat, it's talking about a Menti as well, or Neter Kertet was the realm of the dead in ancient Egyptian mythology. The underworld was also the residence, listen, of various other gods, along with Osiris, the residence of various other gods, along with Osiris. So this is where the brother chose to meet us. Now, Malkiel, Here it is.
Mm-hmm.
Amentet, hold on, somebody got their mic open. Amentet, goddess of the dead, personification of the West. Amentet was the Egyptian goddess and friend of the dead. Now we switch, family, curiously, from the male energy or the male uh,
Yeah.
to the female,
Right.
because the female is always foundational.
Mm-hmm.
The personification of the land of the West. Well, that is what we call America. Amenti.
Yes.
It was she
Mm-hmm.
who welcomed the deceased to their new dwelling place in the netherworld. Now, this we know was the original idea behind the Statue of Liberty, and it was a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
She was also a goddess who helped with the rebirthing process. In other words, to be born again, and thus a goddess of fertility and rebirth, who regenerated the deceased with food and water. Now, it was this spirit or this energy that caused us, Nasik, to ask the question, what do gods eat?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did we answer it? Family.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yes. Yes.
So we you know we when we hear bread of heaven, well, we know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
She and coincidentally, not seeking the New Testament, when Yeshua started talking about that bread of heaven,
Right.
oh man, he was in trouble. Did nobody want to follow him no more?
No, it was through with him.
It was done with him. Oh, this is too much.
Right. He started telling about he was the bread that came down,
That's right. That's right.
huh?
They ain't want to
Yeah.
deal with the brother. They ain't want to deal with the brother no more. She was depicted as a beautiful woman wearing the hieroglyph of the West on her head. And
Mm.
again, we saw this in the stela of Ankh after Khonsu.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the number that they gave to the stela is 666.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's stela number 666.
Wow.
Wow.
Satan, that
Yeah.
has to do
Right.
with you.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, we not fooled by none of that. So yeah, we see this Amenti, we see her symbol and her sign in back of Heru. And combined, it means Heru of the West. The great Westerner is what they
Mm.
refer to Osiris and Heru as. The great, as a matter of fact, it says the foremost of all Westerners. The foremost. That was the official title of all Westerners. So we see the hieroglyph and the scepter of the Ankh in her hands. It says she occasionally is seen as a winged goddess and is linked to the goddess Isis and Nephthys. Very important. Because before we knew about this, we had connected the goddess Isis with the Statue of Liberty, if you all remember that class. The standard of the West is usually a half circle on top of two poles of uneven length, and we see it again above. The longer of which is tied to her head by a headband. Often a hawk or ostrich feather is sitting on top of the standard. Occasionally she is shown wearing just a hawk on her head, just like the so-called god Heru or Horus. So we know that it is virtually no difference, that the male and female aspect, they are always, they correspond. They correspond. So this is, no, we're not confused by this. Here we go, Malkiel. Amenti or Amentet was originally the place where the sun set, but subsequently the name was applied to the cemeteries and tombs which were usually built or hewn in the stony plateaus and mountains of the western bank of the Nile. So now remember, they put them on the western bank of the Nile. Very important.
Right.
Our ancestors knew what they was doing. They said, no, y'all not going to get this wrong. Some believed Amenti was at first the name of a small district without either funeral or mythological signification. However, the Christian Egyptians or Coptics used the word Amen to translate the Greek word Hades. There you go, Malkiel. To which they attributed all the ideas which their heathen, they called the ancestors, heathen ancestors, had associated with Amenti in the Book of the Dead. So these bandits know exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
And so we understand that great care, painstaking care, has been taken by our ancestors for us, family, that would reach this point of transition. And isn't, Malkiel, isn't that what Hades is? A transitional point.
Yes.
These are the halls of Amenti. So our ancestors say, look, we're not going to leave you in between.
Right.
In the underworld, we are going to make residence here. In my father's house are many mansions.
Yes.
If it were not so, I would have told you.
Yes.
I go to prepare a place for you.
Yes.
That where I am, there you shall be also.
Crystal clear, Sheriff.
Crystal clear.
So crystal clear.
Yes, it is.
So it goes on to say, I want to get this Mayat in there. Anyway, says Lon Milo Duquette commented on the connection the Ion of Horus had with the age of Aquarius. Now, see, we done already made this determination.
Yes, Eitai.
That we're moving into what? The age of Aquarius. When he stated that, yes, the Ion of Horus is coincidental to what astrologers and songwriters call the age of Aquarius, and what millions of others refer to simply as the New Age. Now, we let you know that the individual that brought this idea to the West was none other than our ancestor, Pascal Beverly Randolph, P.C. Randolph.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been well taken care of, family. But it would be a mistake to view this new ion simply as another tick on a great cosmic clock. I'm glad he he referred to it as a cosmic clock because the cosmic clock is indeed greater than the solar clock.
Right.
The age of Aquarius, profoundly significant as it is only one aspect of a far greater new spiritual age, the one we are ushering into. They know we already famous, family.
Yeah.
A passage in the instruction of Ptahhotep presents Ma'at as follows. Now, it was one of the factions at the time that was warring. Now, see, in this dualistic battle was followers of Ptahhotep.
Right.
And I'll get the other one for you all, but I know the one was Ptah.
Okay.
So this we're introducing now the fourth ion, the ion of Ma'at.
Right.
The ion of Ma'at. Ma'at is good and its worth is lasting. Now, see, it's a far greater new spiritual age. We don't end, never. We don't end at the male aspect. We always
No.
begin with the feminine and end with the feminine. Why? She is
And
the first and the last.
The last,
The
yes.
Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end.
right.
See, we know this. We can't be fooled, family. Ma'at
The
is
scripture.
good and its worth is lasting. It has been disturbed. It has been disturbed since the day of its creator. In other words, this balance has gotten out of balance. Whereas he who transgresses its ordinance is punished. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Nemesis is coming. It lies as a path in front, even of him who knows nothing. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Wrongdoing has never yet brought its venture to port. It is true that evil, listen, may gain wealth, but the strength of truth is that it lasts. A man can say, it was the property of my father. And that's the claim that we're making.
That's the claim we make.
You might have gotten that by evil.
Right.
By fraud. You may have held on to it beyond the point that you should have returned it. But it was my father's property. And the conquering, avenging child is coming to get it. Some Thelemites believe that the ion of Ma'at will eventually replace the present one. They tried to hide it. Ma'at, Mat or Ma'at, refers to the ancient Egyptian concepts of truth, balance, order, harmony, law, morality, and justice. Ma'at was also the goddess who personified these concepts and did what? Regulated the stars, seasons, and the actions of mortals. See, this is, sisters, this is the power that you have. And this is why we encourage you always to bless yourselves, bless your family, bless the ones that you want to be blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Bless this undertaking, because it's going to be, now see, that feminine energy that is going to turn this whole thing around.
Mm-hmm.
The deities who had brought forth order from chaos at the moment of creation. Chaos, meaning, again, relating it to the Bible, tohu vabohu, without form or void, the essential state of a thing. So this current thing is going to get what? Melted down, burnt down to its essential state, thereby purifying it. Are you all with me?
Mm-hmm.
Let's fast forward now so that we get this in. We're not going to get to these scriptures in detail even today, but because I want to get to the Hopi prophecy. So this feminine energy of Ma'at, of Isis, etc., is also connected to a figure called Nekhbet. Nekhbet. And it was associated with royal women, with the sisterhood on this call. The pharaoh's wife wore the vulture headdress to symbolize her role as the great mother of Egypt. You think that's strange to use the vulture? The priestess of Nekhbet were called Mu, mothers. And this word Mu, Malkiel,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the word Atlantis,
Mm-hmm.
are all connected, we'll see, to the divine feminine energy. It was the lands of Atlantis and Lemuria Mu, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they wore blue kilts, reed crowns, and the robes of vulture feathers. They bared their breasts when escorting a dead man to his tomb as a magical promise of nursing Nekhbet's tender care. In Matthew 24, we're going to see these vultures prominent relative to the not only the second coming, but the events that would precede this second coming and the judgment of the wicked. In Matthew 24, and I don't have the verse written down here, but I'll get that. For wheresoever the carcass, that's the word tomai, that is a fall or downfall, thus a fallen or dead body is, there the eagles or the vultures shall be gathered. We know that eagles don't gather together to eat
Right.
dead carrion, it's vultures. So we're going to do an in-depth study of Matthew 24 at a later date and tie all this in, because this details, it gives the details on the narrative of how we're going to receive our inheritance, how this battle, this final battle, is going to be fought. Also, Revelation 6, we're going to compare that to the book of the law, as it relates to Ankh Afna Khonsu. As a matter of fact, what is written in Revelations is based on the life and legend of Ankh Afna Khonsu, our great ancestor. Also, we'll compare Revelation 19, verses 11 through 21, to, again, a continuation of the second chapter, almost verse by verse, family, of the second chapter of the book of the law.
Mm.
You know, and all this was translated and preserved for our benefit at this particular time. So we'll go back over that later. But again, Ankh of Khonsu is related very closely, and we made the connection between the Black Panther character and talked about how, you know, they tried to do the little okie doke and switch Wakanda to Africa in the comic book narrative and you know, thus the narrative of the film. But we understand that Wakanda is a term that is native to the Americas, and we pointed that out. That Wakanda is in South Dakota, and there's a site, you know, a Mara Indian site in Wisconsin as well, which we said was west of St. Paul, Minnesota, and east of Eau Claire.
Eitai.
Yes, sir.
Then that means Atlantis and Lemuria was in the same location of America
It's,
instead of.
it's all connected. Remember now that the continents, it was all one continent at one time.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
This what nobody wants to talk about.
No.
You know, so that removes, you know, that undermines the whole out of Africa thing. If you go back, so
Absolutely.
Yes.
they got to all, well,
Yes.
that's you know, Pangea. We don't believe in that. Okay, you know, we're here to destroy faith and belief. You know, we like Dragnet, just the facts.
Right,
All we want is the facts. You believe what you want to believe.
right, right.
Mhm.
The reason why you don't want to believe it is because it destroys this whole idea of out of Africa. And family,
Yes.
Yeah.
believe me,
Yes.
they have agents that are active within the so-called Black conscious community that
Mhm.
are violently pushing this idea. They are viciously pushing it of out of
Mhm.
Africa. They don't want to hear nothing you have to say. And I don't even I don't do that on social media any longer because I know
Right.
that you're not going to convince them unless you're involved
No.
in what we're involved in. You know, this whole idea, Nasik, of being an evangelical and all this kind of stuff, you can't call nobody to this.
Nope.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Either they are called or drawn toward it or not.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's simple.
But we got to be about our business here, you know,
Okay.
regardless who agrees with us or goes along with it, you know, or whatever. This thing is so profound, and we keep getting confirmation day by day. The good news is that I found this particular article on the story of the blue kachina and the red kachina on a Hebrew website. This brother calls himself Mighty Warrior 8184. And this came out, he put this up on November 28th of 2015. And I'll try to read this, but it's a pretty poor representation. It says, "In the final days, we will look up in our heavens, and we will witness the return of the two brothers who helped create this world in the birthing time. Pogon Hoya is the guardian of our North Pole." This is very important. And his brother I can't read his name, Polangawa or something like that, is the guardian of the South Pole. In the final days, the blue star Kachina will come to be with his nephews, and they will return the earth to its natural rotation, I believe, which is counterclockwise.
Wow.
Mm,
Wow.
mm.
But now, see,
Returning to proper
you,
order. Okay.
look, now, but if you return to some of the earlier videos that we did, I pointed out that when you look at certain things, the normal way that we would think would be to go clockwise. Do y'all remember
Yeah.
this? But you
Right.
go
Yeah.
counterclockwise.
Right.
We've been taught to read left to right,
Right.
but the actual everything has been reversed, family. The actual is right to left
Yeah.
because that's how the sun moves in the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
in this post that this brother did on his blog site, he said, "Shalom, brothers and sisters. I just wanted to share this Hopi prophecy that I stumbled across. The messages that were brought forth are true. The end will come and the earth will be purified. How? By fire.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a new heaven and a new earth. People need to be preparing themselves spiritually because he says Yahshua will return. We know that that is Ankh of Khonsu.
Okay.
I mentioned that a new day is coming in my post called A New Day is Coming, and my thoughts part forth the coming storm. So it's encouraging to know that some of these brothers and sisters are on this to a certain
Mm-hmm.
degree and are
Mm-hmm.
developing on this path. And I would hope that, I would imagine that if we talk to this brother now, that he would be on or near the same page we're on.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Kachina prophecy, Nassau image, shows giant blue sphere in front of the sun. This is March 9th. See, all of this is happening in March,
Mm-hmm.
if we notice, because
The third
March
one.
is the time that kings do what? March out to war.
Mm-hmm.
But this was in 2017. NASA's cameras have captured a massive blue sphere in front of the sun that has UFO enthusiasts completely captivated. Now, this idea of UFO enthusiasts, this is another distraction, y'all. They want to put this stuff on the ancient aliens and all that kind of mess. Nah, those are our ancestors.
Yes.
Now, they can come in spaceships if they want to, but those are our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Others have related the incident to an ancient Hopi Indian prophecy known as the Blue Kachina prophecy. According to tales, now we're going to understand as we go through this in detail that that all of these things are all of these prophecies, all of these predictions are going to relate themselves back to the Bible because they're talking about virtually the same thing. As a matter of fact, exactly the same thing. According to the tales, when the blue star Kachina makes its appearance in the heaven, the fifth world will emerge. Now, see, what heaven did we say we was in?
Oh, yeah.
That's right. We're teaching from the fifth realm.
Mm-hmm.
We're teaching from the fifth heaven, family. The Hopi Indians also believed that this would be the day of purification. Once the blue Kachina, or blue spherical object, appears in the sky, the star people, family, what does a god eat?
Stardust.
The star people will then seek shelter in the center of the earth to find safety from what is to come. Recently, images were captured by NASA that have many wondering if the blue Kachina prophecy will potentially be coming true. However, others believe that the images were caused by a UFO. Always, agents. But here are the actual pictures. Here are the actual pictures. And I'm going to show you. A sister sent this to me today. And these are some more of the images, family, as well as a photographer that caught this on December 17th of 2016.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
That's the blue Kachina, or what they're claiming it is.
So you can see the two lens flares. With my naked eye, I can see a shadow out of the top right and right side of the moon. But that blue thing to the left of the moon, I believe is the blue Kachina. It's in the UV band of light. That's why we can't see it with our naked eye, I believe. Not sure, don't quote me on that, but...
Nah, I'm going to quote him on that because we read in the ancient prophecy that this would occur in the astral plane. That the Christ would appear in the astral plane. In other words, the range of light that was what? Not visible to the naked eye.
I'm just an average, everyday stonemason. I'm just trying to get the truth out. We need to shut down the nuclear reactors. I believe that's the biggest threat to us as this cataclysm or event approaches. It's obviously getting closer and closer. Whether this is the true blue Kachina or not, something or somebody is trying to warn us by putting it there. Because look at folks, it's not a lens flare. It's there to stay. I could do this all day long. I'm not freaking throwing up and down. I'd stick it in my eye, pull it out, and show it to you again. It's still going to remain there. Now, I'm not a fearmonger. I believe in the light. I am in search of the light. I am trying to get back to source, just like any other soul. And
did you hear what he said? He's trying to get back to source, like any other soul. We can't ignore this.
So, blender we call Earth.
Yes.
What is the color of the fifth chakra?
You know I know, brother.
And you're teaching from the fifth heaven, right?
That's correct.
This ain't, again, these signs are beautifully calibrated for us.
Yes, they are. Malkiel, a fool could not err.
So please share this with everybody you care about. Share it with anybody you don't care about, because I love everybody and I want everybody to see it. Now, this is some sort of vindication for me, because I've been searching for this absolute proof for a long time now. And here it is. And people are still not believing me around me in my life. And then I've sent it out to everybody, and everybody wants not to hear it because it's nothing we can control.
Now, we'll go to the other. Now, this was captured on December 17th of 2016. That's the blue Kachina. Here's the red Kachina.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
7 Earth-sized planets. 7 Earth-sized planets. 7 Earth-sized planets.
Wow.
I'm gonna cut that off because I hate that music. But anyway, y'all saw it.
Eitai,
Yes,
the red chakra is the first chakra.
that's
So
correct.
5 and 1 is what?
6.
6.
And look, red and blue. Red and blue is the purple, which takes you to the next chakra.
Yes.
So, into a higher realm.
Mm-hmm.
So, once we get into this, we are going to come back into and return to some things that we have already laid down in the past. This is all fitting together. All
Yes.
fitting together. So these articles, again, are coming out as we, and these things are being revealed to us as we move forward on this journey. These pictures are the pictures recorded by NASA of what they have determined is either a UFO or the blue Kachina. We'll say, look, it's both. It's an unidentified flying object. The strange pictures depicting the blue sphere in front of the sun were taken by NASA's Stereo H1 satellites, which orbit the sun. Pamela Johnson saw the images of NASA's website, then shared these images on her Facebook page. According to Johnson, the sun had reacted to the object on November 15th, 2016. So before getting into the actual details of the Hopi prophecy, we're going to end right here, but with the understanding that all this is talking about is the return of our ancestors, what they have referred to in the Necronomicon and other modern or contemporary occult and or new age writings as the great old ones, the great old ones. And we talked about the ancient ancestors on the recording yesterday. These ones that existed, when we talked about the DNA, that many eons ago, when the earth was first populated, the first humanoid beings, the DNA was quite different, and so were the humans. We identified these individuals as the great old ones, or what were referred to as the Titans, who existed.
Eitai,
Yeah,
Lig referred to them as the elders.
the elders, absolutely,
Yeah.
the elders. and their DNA was quite different. This was pre-duality, time, space on Earth, and the humanoid race was semi-physical. Now he's using the word humanoid, not in the terms of them being mutated, but we are the real humanoid. They were more human than we were in that sense. So, because they were more perfect representation of what it is that we are in the physical realm. They were semi-physical, and they move freely among the third, fourth, and fifth dimensions. Some beings had access to dimensions beyond the fifth, but we just trying to get to the fifth, brother.
Right.
We'll be okay. We'll worry about them other dimensions
Right.
when we get there.
Mhm.
Their DNA had a minimum structure of 72 double-stranded helix pairs. That's 144. Now, when we go to the book of Revelation later, we're going to connect this to the 144,000. And 128 condoms for their semi-physical nature. They are 3 light-encoded filaments. This is where we get the term family Lucifer, or the light bearer. We have lost that light in what? Our decline and in our devolution. 3 light-encoded filaments or sugar pairs per condom. The original humanoids fell into the current duality, time-space structure, and the DNA was redefined to a 6 double-stranded helix, 12-pair combination. 144 pair DNA was no longer needed by humans, only accessing the third dimension. It remained at this 6 double-stranded helix structure for many millions of years until the manipulation and deactivation during the Atlantean period. This was the point in human history where the DNA was deactivated and reduced to a single double-stranded helix structure, and the condoms were reduced from 128 to 20.
Wow.
We barely producing light. It has remained at this structure for millions of years. Only within the last 20 years has the formation and energy been available to reactivate the original structure. So this is where we are, family. We're going to end here, and we'll pick up again at the appointed time. I'm going to check with Nasik to see where he's at with his presentation. But rest assured, we're not going to deviate at all when he brings his portion from this prophetic framework. But we will be readdressing this, going into detail, and giving more clarity on these events. But you have the general picture, all right? You have the general picture. We've laid out, the major elements to all of this. So with that, I'm going to say wholeness, and we'll open it up for questions and comments at this time.